Unit 1.73569 is a trial version of the recording session, the recording video. Sample, I'm going to read a book or something like that. Oh, it's time to answer that shit, bro. Let's go start reading book. Let's go start it, man. Bro. Mumbo jumbo. Strange case. A fortnight later, by excellent good fortune, the doctor gave one of his pleasant dinners to say 5 or 6 old cronies, all intelligent, reputable men, and all judges of good wine. Mr. Addison so contrived that he remained behind after the others had departed. This was no new arrangement, but a thing that had befallen many scores of times. Where Addison was liked, he was liked well. Hosts loved to detain the trial lawyer, when the light-hearted and loose-tongued had already their foot on the threshold. They liked to sit awhile in his unobtrusive company, criticizing for solitude sobering their minds, in the man's rich silence after the expense and strain of gaiety. To his rule Dr. Jekyll was no exception, and as he now sat on the opposite side of the fire, a large, well-made, smooth-faced man of 50, with something of a slavish cast perhaps, but every mark of capacity and kindness, you could see by his looks that he cherished for Mr. Addison a sincere and warm affection. "I've been wanting to speak to you, Jekyll," began the latter. "You know that will of yours. A close observer might have gathered the topic was distasteful, but the doctor carried it off gaily. 'My poor Addison,' said he, 'you're fortunate in such a client. I never saw a man so distressed as you were by my will, unless it were the hide-bound pedant Lanyon, as what he called my scientific heresies. Oh, you know he's a good fellow. You needn't frown. An excellent fellow, and I always mean to see more of him. But a hide-bound pedant for all that, an ignorant, blatant pedant. I was never more disappointed in any man than Lanyon.' "You know I never approved of it," pursued Addison, ruthlessly disregarding the fresh topic. "My will? Yes, certainly I know that," said the doctor, a trifle sharply. "You have told me so." "Well, I tell you so again," continued the lawyer. "I have been learning something of young Hyde." The large handsome face of Dr. Jekyll grew pale to the very lips, and there came a blackness about his eyes. "I do not care to hear more," said he. "This is a matter I thought we had agreed to drop." "What I heard was abominable," said Addison. "It can make no change. You do not understand my position," returned the doctor, with a certain incoherency of manner. "I am painfully situated, Addison. My position is a very strange one. It is one of those affairs that cannot be mended by talking." "Jekyll," said Addison, "you know me. I am a man to be trusted. Make a clean breast of this in confidence, and I make no doubt I can get you out of it." "My good Addison," said the doctor, "this is very good of you. This is downright good of you. I cannot find words to thank you in. I believe you fully. I would trust you before any man alive. I bear for myself, if I could make the choice. But indeed it isn't what you fancy. It is not as bad as that, and just to put your good heart at rest, I will tell you one thing. The moment I choose I can be rid of Hyde, I give you my hand upon that. And I thank you again and again, and I will just add one little word, Addison, that I'm sure you'll take in good part. This is a private matter, and I beg of you to let it sleep." Addison reflected a little, looking in the fire. "I have no doubt "You are perfectly right," he said at last, getting to his feet. "Well, but since we had touched upon this business, and for the last time I hope," continued the doctor, "there is one point I should like you to understand. I have really a very great interest in poor Hyde. You know, I know you have seen him. He told me so. I fear he was rude, but I do sincerely take a very great interest in that young man. And if I am taken away, Addison, I wish you to promise me that you will bear with him and get his rights for him. I think you would if you knew all, and I would be a weight off. It would be a weight off my mind if you would promise. Addison, I wish you to promise me that you will bear. I can't pretend that I shall ever like him, said the lawyer. I don't ask you that, pleaded Jekyll, laying his hand upon the other's arm. I only ask for justice. I only ask to help him for my sake when I am no longer here. Addison heaved an irrepressible sigh. Well, said he, I promise. The Guerrilla Murder Case. Nearly a year later, in the month of October 19th, London was startled by a crime of singular ferocity and rendered all the more notable by the high position of the victim. The details were few and startling. A maid servant living alone in a house not far from the river had gone upstairs to bed about 11. Although a fog rolled over the city in the small hours, the early part of the night was cloudless, and the lane, which the maid's window overlooked, was brilliantly lit by the full moon. It seems she was romantically given, for she sat down upon her box, which stood immediately under the window, and fell into a dream of musing. Never, she used to say, with streaming tears, when she narrated the experience, never had she felt more at peace with all men, or thought more kindly of the world. And as she so sat she became aware of an aged beautiful gentleman with white hair drawing near along the lane, and advancing to meet him another and a very small gentleman, to whom at first she paid less attention. Attention, gentlemen.